another session of the School of Thought. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you're having an absolutely awesome day. We're going to have a quick lunch today. And the topic today is stay in your lane. That is the topic of today. Stay in your lane. Right? You got it. Stay in your lane. All right. What does that mean? It means that when you are created on this earth, you are giving a lane, a government. When you live here, you have to live according to the government that you were created to live in. What does that mean? Now, let me give you an example. Just like in your mind, right? Let's look at the brain. It's still the brain, but each part of the brain, each compartment, whether it's the hippocampus, hypothalamus, the amygdala, every part, the pituitary gland, every part of the brain, they have different, I'm going to take it apart here. They have different part of the brain, but each of them have its lane. Each of them have a government that they are abiding by. Because if the hippocampus bleed over to hypothalamus, that means you have a problem, right? So the same thing in life, you have to be able to recognize your lane. What were you born to do? Who are you in this life? And then you learn the government of that life. If you bleed over to one other government that don't belong to you, that's when we have a problem. You're not an animal, so you can't bleed over and act like an animal. You are a human, right? But this is a brain. It could say, well, we are part of the brain, so we could bleed over. So hippocampus said, oh, hypothalamus, I think I want to bleed over with you because we still are brain. So the same thing we do with ourselves. We believe because we are all part of humanity, we are supposed to bleed over, but you cannot. Let me give you an example. If you have a relationship with your son, you can't bleed over to the government of marriage and act like your son is your husband. You're not in your lane. This is one lane. My relationship with my son is a lane. But if I bleed over just because we are humanity and say, hey, I can't help who I love. I love my son. I want him to be my husband. You just step into a different government. You just step into a different lane. You're not in your lane. Your lane is a mother. His lane is a son. His lane is not a husband. So you can't be treating him and make him the husband of the house. So you have to recognize the lane. A husband and a wife have a relationship. That is a lane. That is a government. You can't bleed over to the children. You can't bleed over to an animal. Animals is the kingdom. They have different kingdom. They have different government. You can't go in the kingdom, in the government of an animal and apply the government into humanity. And that's what's really happening in our world today. We are bleeding over to everything. We don't care about no government. We don't care about our lane. We're just going from one lane to another. Shoot, 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 and go. Well, I feel like, oh, I want to be in this lane today. No, today I feel like, and so what are we saying? We're saying that the chemicals, emotion, is guiding us through life. That's the government we live by. I feel like a cat today. I feel like a dog today. I feel like, my relationship should expand to this and children. And, we have a government we have to live by. Stay in your lane. You are a wife. You stay in your lane of a wife. But if you are a girlfriend, don't bleed over to the lane of a wife and now start treating your boyfriend like a husband. That is a different government. That is a different lane that you can't just bleed over just because he's your boyfriend. So that means every boyfriend you have is your husband. Every girlfriend you have is your wife. No, you cannot bleed over to that government. You have to learn to live by the government that you are in now. Now, when we get married, now we are going to abide by that government. Period. So this is what it means. Remember the old days that the old people used to tell, they said, children, stay in your place. That means stay in your government. Stay in your lane. You are a child, so you don't bleed over to adult. Right? So if we look at our society today, we have just literally swept away the government. We are sweeping. This is what would happen if your brain do that. You'll become sick. You're no longer the same person because hippocampus, you want to bleed over and have an affair. Suppose your brain started sipping and start melting and say, you know what? I think I'm going to go visit the kidney today and have an affair with kidney. Suppose your heart decided, you know, I'm going to connect with lungs today because we are organs. So we are in the same body. So that why not us tangle up together? Why not the heart tangle up and have an affair with the lungs? Or the brain says, oh, I'm going to just slip over here and to the kidneys. I'm going to slip over there and say hi to the liver and become one with the liver. Then you have a sick person. So what does that tell us when we don't stay in our government, when we don't stay in our lane? What does that say what about us as humanity? We learn our lane. We learn our government so you could thrive. A lot of us are unhappy in life because you have not taken the time to find out your lane, your government, and learn to thrive where you are and stop bleeding over to another government, another lane. All right. We're going to keep talking about this next week. Tune in for the next School of Thought. In the meantime, I need you to register for my next workshop. Discover the divine revelation of you. When you discover you, you will discover your lane. You will discover where you belong, and you'll discover how to thrive in your lane. So go in myhanajosue.com, click on event, and click on registering for this class. I could guarantee, whether in person or online, you will not regret that investment. It will be one of the best investments that you ever made to know more about you so you could thrive in your lane. I could find out what lane I belong, and I am going to thrive in that lane. All right. The heart find out what it's supposed to do, and it thrive, and it give you long, healthy life. The lungs find out what it's supposed to do, and it makes you thrive. That it just gives you breath. And no, I'm not here to be like the heart. I'm here to be the lungs so I can give you long, healthy life. And you will be much happier when you find out what lane that you belong, that you will thrive. So again, register for the class. Discover your divine self. May 30th and 31st. There we go right here. And register for the class. Discover the divine revelation of you. So I will see you at the next class and see you at the next School of Thought. And you have yourself a super Friday. Thank you for joining me.